Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Occult Think Tank. My name is Greg. In this program, I am going to be talking about the mission of the Occult Think Tank. And to get this started, I am going to be reading from the first page of my website, occultthinktank.com, the mission of the Occult Think Tank. While I am an agnostic, atheist, anti-theist, and epistivist, my position on a subject will be based on the available information about the topic, as well as addressing ideas of claims made by a guest or someone that I am interviewing. It is not my desire or intent to act as if my opinion, or the opinion of one of my guests, is the be-all and end-all of a discussion. Instead, I want the discussion or interview to be the beginning of the conversation, not the end. Despite what the religious may want to assert, it is not my intent to preach or try to convert anyone. I will talk about different subjects more to get a conversation started about it rather than to try and push a narrative. Oh, of course, my position will be based on logic, reason, and evidence. But this isn't trying to push anything. Sure, I want to promote a logical, evidence-based discussion, not discussions based on nothing but emotion or how an idea makes you feel. Frankly, I do not care how warm and fuzzy you feel about Jesus, God, Satan, Darth Vader, Pinhead, Yoda, or any other fictional character. We can talk about your beliefs and why you feel those fictional characters exist, but don't be thinking you're going to win converts. The purpose is to have a conversation and get a dialogue started. I fully realize that the religious want to act as if I'm trying to convert people to my way of thinking because that's how they operate. That is the only reason most religious people have a discussion. It isn't about an exchange of ideas because, to be completely blunt, they don't care what you have to say. All they care about is pushing their doctrine and ignoring anything that doesn't fit with their own narrow view of things. This isn't how I operate, as my multiple interviews with Mark Powers, an expert on Judaism, clearly show. I enjoyed those interviews a great deal, and I can honestly say I learned a lot about the Jewish Bible and belief system. It didn't change my atheism one bit, but the discussion is something that I feel is well worth the time. That is, providing you can put down your Jesus goggles long enough to hear a point of view that not only refutes Jesus, but shows why those ideas are simply wrong. If the issue is the existence of a God, why must any discussion about it be based on your version? It's arrogant as hell to act as if the religion you were born into is the be-all and end-all of the God subject. Isn't that making your man-made religion your actual God? I know some religious people try to make the claim that science is a religion, but this is false. Science is a method of understanding the world and the universe we live in. The scientific method is a framework of questioning, looking for answers, testing the hypothesis over and over, and then only if it passes all of the tests does it become a theory. Most religious people assume a theory is just some idea that someone has. That may be the general use term, but in science, a theory is the graduation of a hypothesis, one that is based on a strong foundation of evidence. There is no faith in science, because faith can't get you to a hypothesis being true or not. There isn't a position or idea that you could have that couldn't be justified with a faith defense. Some of the discussions that I will probably have multiple times are things like aliens, UFOs, ghosts, hauntings, angels, demons, possession, heaven, hell, near-death experiences, cryptozoology, the paranormal, and many more. While I do have my position on things, I would go into a discussion or interview from the basis of covering the subject, which means starting off with the believer presenting what they feel is their best evidence for the belief or claim. Even at the end of the discussion or interview, as I see it, this isn't the end of the discussion, but only the beginning. The input that comes from the audience can be as valuable, if not more so, than the program that got it started. That, in a nutshell, is the mission statement of the Occult Think Tank. That's what I'm about, is getting a discussion started. There are some things that I have no time for, like the bigotry and prejudice that someone may have. I really don't care what prejudices or bigotry you want to live by or you want to have in your life. It is not the basis of an intelligent, rational discussion. I am not one to put up with the senseless claims, to even slanderous claims made about anyone, be it the Jewish people, black people, white people. I don't care. I want to have logical, rational discussions, not discussions based on nothing more than emotion and prejudice. I also want to point out, because it's a trend that I have seen on BitChute that I find very disturbing, and it's largely from the Christian/Catholic people or commenters, that being a very anti-Semitic mindset. People may be unaware because of not knowing history very well, but Hitler was Catholic. Hitler had a very anti-Jewish sentiment, and even the idea of calling Jews Christ killers. Let me remind Christians and Catholics of something. You Christians and Catholics want to vilify the figure of Judas, but without your Judas betraying your precious Jesus and having Jesus crucified, you fuckers wouldn't be able to shirk your personal responsibility for what you do by claiming to believe this Jesus died for you. So you should be kissing the ass of Judas and thanking him, not trying to vilify him. Because if anyone should be the basically poster child of Christianity, it's Judas. But you people don't want to look at it that way because you only have your own narrow view that is based on think as I say or else, which is a tyrannical mindset. It shows how evil the mindset is. I can go off on all of the problems and the moral problems I have with the character of Jesus. And I use the term the character of Jesus because I do not believe for 1 second that there was actually a living person that made up the character we see in the Bible called Jesus Christ. What that most likely would be is a composite of multiple people, one of which was Apollonius of Tyana. Because for those of you that want to try and act like the Shroud of Turin is evidence of some Jesus, you should be aware that the facial features on the Shroud of Turin have been matched using a computer to the face of Apollonius of Tyana, who was Greek, by the way. It would also mean that potentially the characters of Jesus and Paul are a composite, with Apollonius being potentially both. It's an interesting idea. It's a rabbit hole that I may go down in time, just because it's something that I find interesting, and it would be a discussion that I think would be very fruitful, especially among the atheist community, because I would be focused on bringing in all of the evidence for the idea as I could find. This is what I am about. This is what the Occult Think Tank is about. It is about provoking your mind, challenging your beliefs, and looking for evidence to support or refute a particular idea. I welcome the input from the listening audience because, as I've stated in my mission statement on my website, I do feel that at the end of my program or interview, I don't feel that's where the discussion ends, but that's actually where it begins, type of thing. Because the real discussion comes from the listening audience. not me. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Later, people.